Hey, and welcome to Shades of Blue podcast. My name is Crunk Chocolate, and they're way too lit to be humble. I am here with Tarek,
Hey, what's good, everybody?
Danielle, Thom
Hello.
Bomb,
What's going on?
and Charlie.
Yeah.
First things first, rate and review the podcast. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Shades of Blue Pod. In today's episode, we will be discussing the yearly kit leaks that have happened. Which side of opinion are we on? The first leg against Real Madrid. We go back to the Premier League action against Leeds. We sit down and try to have a real talk to the Man City fans. Thom Bomb leads us in conversation about MCWFC. We will look into the next couple of games, and one of us is going to the US Summer Tour friendlies. Can you guess who it will be? If you follow on social media, you would know that already. Uh, but let's get into the kit leak. We're at the yearly photo leak of next year's shirt. From the photos, the away kit is a modern take of the 1968 kit that I'm wearing right now. 45-degree turn of the black and red stripes, diagonal baby. I don't know what that does, like fashion wise for body shapes, but it'll be an experience. Home Kits is a 50th anniversary kit nod. Actual sky blue with the claret and white striping on the neck and the sleeve. Hot Take, the third kit, it's inspired from 2014 and 15, but it has the potential to be the most beautiful kit if the shorts and socks aren't an afterthought. That's like the crazy purple and yellow. It was a weird. I couldn't really tell what that color was going to be, but I'm sure they're tinkering with it since that was the kit that I saw on Twitter get killed the most. But thoughts and opinions on any of the kits, all of them, or if you're disinterested at all? Let's start with Tarek.
So starting from the last thing that you said, I haven't actually seen the third kit, so I can't speak to that one. Uh, I think I said before on another podcast, on another episode, I'm not really a fan of the red, just because I'm not a fan of all those teams that wear red, particularly Liverpool and United. Now I know that it's a part of our history; it's a part of city's history. So I get it. I get why people would appreciate it. And chances are I may end up with one. Um, but like I said, it's just not my favorite color scheme. The the home kit, I like it. I'm not sure about the everything being stacked in the center, the badge and then the Puma logo. Um, it kind of looks off balance a little bit, but again, I know it's a throwback to a previous jersey where everything was in the center. So I definitely see that in my future. I like the uh, I guess it's the claret, whatever that means. That color, I like that color as well. So I will definitely have that before it's all said and done. So I like that one, and I'm kind of iffy on the red and black, and we'll see about the third one because I haven't seen it yet.
When I first saw the new kits, I was like, whoa. The claret definitely caught me off guard until then I started to see people tweet about, the historic nature of that design. I was like, oh, this is really beautiful. Because like myself and a lot of fans, if you only became a fan post 2010 or whatever, you don't really know all of the history because we're not native Manchurians, right? So it's pretty cool to see that tie back to the past. Same with I knew the red and black, like that one, like I remember, seeing that before, so that's cool. Um, so I'm definitely a fan. We'll definitely try my best to get the home shirt for sure.
Typical millennial fashion because I love nostalgia. I loved both of these, at least the home and the away. I haven't seen I've only seen the colors of uh the third kit, which I do believe that you are correct, Crunk. I think that does have lots of potential. Ooh, yes, yes. Um, but yeah, I love the nostalgia of it. I love the throwback element of it, and I'm excited to see, you know, us defend our Premier League championship and UEFA championship in those kits. So that's where I'm at.
Let's go.
I'm kind of with Tarek on this with like the red. I'm not the biggest fan of having a red tone in the home kits. I know it's like historic and stuff. I don't mind if it's an away kit, but with like the home kit, it just kind of I don't know. It just kind of it's kind of weird to me to have like that shade. Um, Given that we're the sky blues, I do like the logo, the crest centered. I don't like the Puma logo centered, to be honest. I think if they had just placed that somewhere else, like even at the kind of like maybe at the bottom, if they had to have it on the front of the shirt, it would have looked a lot cleaner. I just think it looks kind of strange, stacked like there's like four lines. It's just a little bit, and it's a little weird. But I am a huge fan of like the retro like feel, the crest centered. I was actually looking into getting the retro kit that I think they wore during the community shield match a couple seasons ago. Yeah, I think that's just like a really clean and classic look. Um, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get it though because it's not perfect, but I think it's probably our best kit since 2017, 2018, in my opinion.
And the claret, it's like it's West Ham, so it's not
Or Villa.
entirely red. Yeah, it's like a purple. So I don't know. I give it a little leniency if you're not in the complete red thing. I totally get that though. Not wanting to wear red. That was kind of a tough thing.
Yeah, I wanted to give Puma a quick shout out. Like they've come a long way since that
Yeah.
first season, and I'm like a Nike stan. So when I first saw Puma, I know why we did it. It was the money, whatever. But it was like, ugh, I hated the neon colors, and it was whatever. And then season by season, it's starting to get a lot more presentable. The effort is matching the excellence on the pitch. So I'm happy that we're looking better.
I saw what you showed us in the video, and I went and looked it up. And I do remember it's kind of that purple in like a highlighter yellow.
Yeah.
And I actually, so long story, but my daughter, her soccer club wears Puma, and for the first I don't know how many years she's been there, but let's say 80% of the time that she's been with this club, they've had a highlighter yellow of a kit. So it's kind of cool that they'll be wearing Puma. They'll have that color in their kit supposedly, because when they did it before, it was Nike. So all the more reason and all the more stuff for me to rock at my daughter's games or last year. I can be in Puma and rep Man City while still being color coordinated with all the other parents on the sidelines.
Multitasking. Look at
Yeah, kill two birds with one stone. There we go.
that. And
Hey, one more
for
thing. Oh,
yeah, go for
sorry.
it.
One more thing. Puma. So that's a big deal because supposedly our friend from Norway is going to sign with Puma or is signed with Puma. And so that's just one more potential attraction for him to come to the club and maybe raise what we're getting paid from that deal. Any chances of that happening?
Well, I'm not sure how long the contract is with them, but I'm sure they could definitely re-up or restructure the contract. But I'm a big Puma fan. When I played rugby, all of my boots were always Puma boots, and all of my accessories. So when they announced the Puma deal, I was pretty excited about that because I knew they were gonna bring color and uh, new ideas to the city jerseys. And there's so much tradition in city. I understand why fans come back with some of these ideas that come from Puma. It makes sense. I get it.
The one hang up that I have about Holland signing a Puma deal is he'd be obligated to wear their boots. And as someone that's kind of I've tried Puma and I've tried Nike cleats, and in my opinion, Nike cleats are just far
Mhm.
superior in terms of like, at least for me. I used to turn my ankle all the time in Puma cleats, not so much with Nike cleats anymore. And I remember like way back in the day that was kind of a thing with Derrick Rose, NBA. He was signed with Adidas, and some people kind of were guessing that his injury problems sort of originated from the fact that he was wearing like Adidas stuff as opposed to like Nike stuff. So that's just kind of like a small thing, something to pay attention to, especially since Holland's kind of injury prone. I also think that like I'm also a Nike stan. Like the Nike cleats are just so much cleaner um, than any other cleat on the market. But that's just
So
me.
obviously, if you play soccer, you wear Nikes. You might wear um, the ones that Neymar used to wear, but he's recently signed with Puma. So I'd be interested to see, how he does. I think it was either before this season or somewhere during the year that he signed with Puma. Um, so I wonder how that impacts his game because to your point, when you switch boots, that could be a big deal. Um, so yeah, it's definitely something to be paying attention to for sure.
Ooh, who knew we were gonna get so deep into Puma talk? I love it.
We're working on our Puma sponsorship. Just
Hey,
put that out there, and
Steelers. Uh, Champions League glory on the line in Manchester, England, thinking there would be no Cancelo or Walker to subdue Real's wide attack. Dark times in City Twitter leading up to the match. No one host here was thinking City were going to run away with the match. None of us expected the heavyweight slugfest that happened. The lineup, including Stones, was a shocker for me, but from what it looked like, Stones was playing hoping to just last the first half, and then Ferner would come in the second half and play a foreign position as a 36-year-old for as little time as possible. I know Mahrez gave it the assist to Kevin and he did his thing in the second half, but Mahrez does not take defense seriously and he plays at his own pace. On the Benzema goal, he loses the ball to a Modric slide tackle and the ball goes straight to Ferland Mendy. Mendy had enough time to take like 3 steps back, pause, and line up his cross, all while Miad was doing the cutest little trot to him. It was infuriating. I have done enough whining. Overall, City played their best offensive football in a while. Every time I say Kevin for Ballon d'Or, he steps his game up. So I will not turn my back on that brooding Belgian right now. Ballon d'Or for Kevin De Bruyne 2022. Start etching his name in there right now, baby. I was in the negative. In reality, City, they won the match. Kept scoring after giving away soul-crushing goals. That has to mean something. Gabriel scoring 5 goals in 3 days. That's quite the statistic. What did you take on the semifinal? What did you take from the semifinal match? Was it a positive like the way Kevin played, a negative like that little shit of a child pitch invading, or are you sitting in the middle of the ground like the quote from Ruben Diaz? He said, "Everyone is thinking it could have been better. It could have been this. It could have been that. But we just need to take the win." Give me your thoughts on the match overall. Let's start with Thom Bomb.
So in rewatching the match, I really think that the match changed in the 26th minute. We had a break, and Mahrez was leading it, and Phil Foden was wide open at the back post, and Mahrez took the shot, and that was one of many many examples, I think, to your point, Crunk, of Mahrez being very selfish in the match.
And hold on, can we just like sit there for one moment? Because everyone saying that he could have did that square pass. Do you see that square pass? I know that image. It all looks easy in our brains from that angle, but do you think he could have done that?
I
Could have made
do.
the pass. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, I think we've seen Mahrez make those passes before, and there's no like you even saw it on the first goal. His pass to KDB for the goal. I there's no there's no reason for me to believe based off of his prior play that Riyad Mahrez cannot make that pass to Phil Foden for Phil Foden to score. Um, I really thought that that's where the match changed. I thought that that's where you started to see John Stones lag a lot. Um, I think that that was the moment that Real Madrid thought like, oh, we're still in this. We can still make this a match. Yes, credit to City for coming back every time that uh, Real Madrid scored, save for the Benzema penalty. But I really do think that the match changed, the entire match flipped on its head when we didn't score a goal in the 26th minute there.
I just want to start off with the fact that we didn't have a right back. Not only did we not start a right back, we didn't even have one on the bench that was of age to drink. So it's just like for me, every goal was explainable. Like the first goal, as you said, didn't close down on Mendy. Benzema does what Benzema does. He took nothing. He took a quarter chance and scored a goal. Zinchenko didn't play that terribly. It just happened to glance off his shin or the bottom of his heel and went in the goal. Cool. The second goal, we all saw what happened. Fernandinho was too amped up. He tried to close out on a man who was like 15 years younger than him. Dummy nutmeg, which is incredible, and then just goes down. And of course, I first went to Laporte, not closing down the space at the end of it, but I understood why he was protecting the middle. But again, once Fernandinho out of position is exposed, bad things are going to happen. So with those things being said, and the penalty is a penalty. We had a great discussion in the chat about it, about how like, hey, it went off his head first, but then like I watched the Christina Uncle video and she explained what happened, and so I'll take that for what it is. My original prediction was 1-0 last week, so 1-0 happened, and a win is what matters. Like you don't have to win by 3. You don't, there's no away goal rule. Who cares? They are going back home as losers, and we will have a right back. Even if it's just Cancelo, that is a great upgrade from Stones and Fernandinho. And so I feel really confident. And let's just talk about the overall excellence from our midfield, like Rodri, Silva, De Bruyne. I mean, it's beautiful to watch. And that Bernardo goal, making literally a beautiful moment out of nothing, which could have just been a free kick, to just have the balls to say, let me just take a hit. Courtois didn't know what was coming. He was like, what? Oh my God. And so I just love the way that we dominated, and we'll take care of business next.
I think to your point, Charlie, about the Fernandinho misstep. If you remember Phil Foden's goal, it was led by Fernandinho's step against Vinny Jr. So I think he thought that he had it, and as an older millennial, I can say, sometimes you think you got it and you don't, and I think that's what happened to Ferna there. So. Uh, yeah, I just wanted to add that part on.
And it kind of cancels out, right? He had a great play. He had a terrible play. Nothing really changed,
Right.
He giveth, he taketh away.
Exactly.
So all in all, we leave and we go to Spain up a goal, right? So in the grand scheme of things, we would have all taken that in the beginning. We would all have said, if you're telling me we're going to win the game, regardless of the score, we would have all said, yeah, I'll take that any day. I think, again, because we got up so big so early, that is where the feeling of being let down, the feeling of, hey, we could have done more, the feeling of we didn't do enough, that's where that comes from for me. On a previous episode, I talked about the Liverpool games, the last 2, and how we went up big and then they fought back. We went up 2-0 and then they scored and they came back. And I said when I was talking about the Liverpool games was that we weren't clinical enough to well and truly bury them, and they fought back. When the reverse fixture, they went up big, but they got that third goal. So even though we scored 2, we didn't have enough to fight back into it. I feel like this is the same thing where we went up 2, we had a chance for 3. If we get 3, in my opinion, breaks their backs, game is over, pretty much tie is over. We don't get that third, and then they come around and then they get it, and then we kind of start trading off goals at that point. So there's just that little bit of clinicalness that we just have to have that I think will make the difference in this game, these series, and then all intents and purposes, we get to the Champions League final, we have to be that, right? You brought up the Laporte on the Vinicius goal. Laporte, Vinicius is coming down the left, or excuse me, on our right, but their left, and he doesn't come over. And I get the idea of, well, he's hanging back towards the middle because that's where Benzema is. Of course, Benzema is already scored a goal, so we know he's a threat. Zinchenko's covering, but that's the matchup that he scored on already. So I get the idea of, hey, we want to provide extra support. But again, I always liken everything back to, American sports, in this case, basketball. When the ball turns over and it's a transition, and your number's down, the very first thing that you're taught to do on defense is to stop the ball. Stop the ball. You don't just let the ball keep coming. You make that player make a play, make a pass, do something, make them make a decision. Don't just let them drive towards the middle and just keep going. We didn't stop the ball, and he just went all the way in and scored. I don't know. Maybe Laporte comes over, that ball gets played to Benzema, and they still score the goal. Maybe so. But at least there would have been some additional actions that had to take place in order for that to happen. We can't make life easy for dude. These guys are world, they're world-class footballers. Why are we making it easy? Make them make plays. Make them make decisions. Maybe they'll make the wrong decision like Mahrez. And again, love him because he's on our team, but I think it was the wrong decision to not play that ball to Foden. I do. So, I get the idea, but I think we just have to be better.
I'm going to weigh in on the two moments that y'all have talked about before I talk about my overall impressions. So first of all, the Mahrez kind of missed chance. Yeah, it is kind of tough to see with that. I know there's that screenshot that's circulating on Twitter, right, about like him being able to square it. To me, it looked like he could have squared it like a little bit earlier. It kind of seemed like he just held on to the ball a little bit too long in classic Mahrez fashion. But I think the other thing is, like, even if you're not squaring it, why not just do what you usually do and cut in on your left? Like, he took a shot with his weaker foot, like his right foot. So, I mean, I feel like it's even more unforgivable, like how it all went down, because it wasn't even him being greedy, right? He just totally, like, it's like he had the yips. Like, why would you take the shot at that angle with your weaker foot? Like, why not just cut in, force? And it's kind of like what Tarek was just saying, right? Like, force something, like force either the defender to block your shot or force a save. Like, at least get it on target. And he just like didn't even get it on target with his weaker foot. And I love Mahrez, right? He's done a lot for us in the Champions League, but you got to call it out, right? As it is, like, that was a huge chance early on in the game. I totally agree that it just changed the complexion of the rest of the game. The Fernandinho sort of thing, like, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, on Fernandinho's side, it sort of cancels out. Also, when we were recording last week, we were banging the table about how, like, the primary thing should be cut off the supply to Vinicius, cut it off to Benzema. And that's what Fernandinho was trying to do. He did it successfully on his assist for the Foden goal. And he was attempting to do that for the mistake. So, I don't think it was like a huge mental error. I just think that it's like a 36, 37-year-old guy, a lot of miles on his legs. He was doing what he was being instructed to do. Was the smart move. And it was just like an amazing play at around like midfield. As for the what happened on our end with the goal with Laporte, totally agree. Exact same thing. I think that there's something to be said for when you have like some sort of like defensive structure already, and there's guys that can come and support you. Like, there's something to be said for sitting back and kind of waiting on other guys to sort of catch up. But when it's like chaos, like it was for that chance, you gotta at the very least just force a guy into a decision, right? If it's not Laporte, it should be Ederson closing the angle. So I was kind of disappointed, to be honest, at that sequence. It is what it is. So with that being said, I thought that it was still our best performance in the Champions League in a really long time, possibly ever. Obviously, we'd have to decouple performance versus results. The results was overall positive for us. It wasn't not nearly as good as it could have been. We could have won like 6-7-1, something like that. Like, and that's not even. We could have won by like that margin and still have thought like, wow, we should have scored like 10 goals because it was literally that much. And I actually still haven't watched the highlights because it really pains me to have to watch all the missed chances, because there's just like that would have been an incredible statement. I said last week that if we won like 6-1, that would have just struck fear in the hearts of like Liverpool. Obviously, Madrid would have been like dead at that moment. So it was like a huge wasted opportunity. But the performance, like the fact that we were even talking about all those missed chances, is like wow. And I think defensively we weren't even terrible. A couple of moments of brilliance from the other team, a couple of mental lapses defensively with a makeshift back line. But just on the whole, we were totally dominant. And again, it says, I see this on Twitter a lot. I totally agree. It says so much that Madrid were absolutely thrilled to come away from the Champions League semifinal losing 4-3. Like that just says so much. We're absolutely massive. So proud of the team, proud of Pep. And I just have the utmost confidence for Wednesday. Like if we could do that, missing all of those chances, and them just having like moments of brilliance, we can do anything. Like I don't have any doubts about the team going. Like on the day, I'm going to be nervous as hell, but there's no reason for me not to believe that we're on the way to another Champions League final.
Yeah, and not to pile on Mahrez, but when he got the ball, I actually thought he was going to cut in with his left, because if he would have saw Foden right there with a tap in. But yeah, he just kept going. And the funny thing about Fernandinho, right before he got burned, he had bombed up the pitch, like was flying, and he didn't receive the ball. And even the announcer was just like, "Well, Fernandinho doing his best Kyle Walker impersonation." And then he had to get back, and I know how hard it is to get as because he was flying, and so for I'm sure that's half the reason why he tried to close in Vinicius, because those legs probably were hurting after doing that, and just catching up wasn't really an option. But what the biggest thing that I took from the match is Casemiro is not saving that midfield. We have Cancelo will be back and rested for the first time in a long time. After the Real match, Bernardo said, "I felt our fans should be proud of us. The team should be proud of the work that we did." And I am incredibly proud and excited for City to visit the Bernabeu and burn that bitch to the ground with their football. I need to see at least 3 crying Spaniards by the end of that match. Preferably like ugly crying. And, we can just turn those into memes. 3 points were needed to stay on course towards a Premier League title. Leeds should have felt that they were up to the task. Leeds United, those rose-loving asshats, thought that they wanted the smoke. I know losing 7-0 earlier this season was rough, and they had hoped to do better. People say Leeds are safe from relegation. Everton have a game in hand. Leeds are 5 matches. Leeds' next 5 matches, they're City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, and Brentford. Leeds are not in a position to sit back and hope to lose by 1 or squeak out a draw. Both teams needed to win. Before the match, Jesse Marsch said, "We're obviously excited for a big match. We think it's the best team in the world against the best club in the world. So you can decide which is which." Those are the lies that I was talking about in the last episode, that the best managers in the world have to tell themselves, tell their teams, tell the media. You are contractually obligated to say general statements like, "I'm at the best club in the world." It's a home match for Leeds, crowd involvement, the 12th man on the pitch. It's so funny that I wrote this part before the match even started, and then they're throwing lumps of paper at Jack Grealish and any player who got any close to them. It was ridiculous. What did you take from the match? Let's start with Danielle.
First of all, I do think that the Leeds fans throwing the paper on whatever they were throwing on the pitch was embarrassing, for sure. But I love to see it. I don't know. There's just something about like seeing just chaos and just it's I don't always want to see like a completely manicured product. You know what I mean? Like I just love seeing chaos. Like it's part of the reason why like when I was younger I was really into like wrestling and just all that kind of stuff. I like that. I like that there's like a little bit of nastiness. I like that there's like kind of character. I'm gonna miss Leeds next season because I think they're getting relegated. Just looking at they have to play Arsenal, Chelsea, um, Southampton, and then Brentford. None of those games, obviously, the first two you can expect a loss, and then the latter two they're not going to be easy. They're not gimmies. And Burnley has been looking really good. They've won 3 in a row. Ben Mee somehow is one of the best managers in the league as a center back. Um, also, I'm hoping for Burnley to stay up because there's the rumors that Company is gonna be their next manager. I think that'd be
I
really
love
interesting.
Company, but I
Actually, that'd
don't
be
want
really
him
really
in that
interesting.
role. I
At
don't want that
all.
for him. It's like just hold out,
I would
hold
just
out
love to
for
see it.
a better spot.
Please.
He might be. I would love to see him either at Burnley or at Everton. I feel like Everton could be a good place for him. Um, but yeah, I thought the actual game itself, to be honest, the first half kind of shaky defensively. I'm not gonna lie. I think I said in our group chat that uh, it's amazing how big of a difference KDB and Bernardo make. I'm glad that they were rested for sure. I was a little bit nervous, especially in that first half when um, Leeds just had a lot of time and space in that midfield to sort of run at us. Thankfully, they didn't do anything at our end. But yeah, I thought the midfield was a little bit shaky, a little bit expected. I'm not. I kind of I feel a little bit sad about the state of Gundogan. It's a little bit, it's disappointing that he's physically, it really just doesn't seem like he's up to it. I know there's rumors that he's carrying a pretty significant back injury, so I wonder if it's that. Um, but yeah, I really hope that this isn't the end of him. Right? I hope that he's able to kind of heal up and stuff because, yeah, with the rumors of Bernardo leaving too, that really just leaves us with one guy, KDB, in the midfield that we can feel really assured of. So but yeah, then the rest of the game was awesome, right? Ake scored. Love it. He deserves it. And then we were brilliant, just like the rest of the way. And one more thing is Paul Tierney was awful. Like he was just terrible the entire game. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how you can just sort of be at this level and just kind of let things go. I know a lot of people say that it's part of the referee's job to protect the players, and I think that really expressed itself when Stuart Dallas got hurt, clattering into Grealish in the second half. I think that was a direct result of the referee not controlling the match, right? Um, so you hate to see it. It's apparently like he broke his like the leg in his upper thigh, like his femoral I don't know, tibia. I don't know what it is, but it's a huge injury. So, sorry to see that happen, but it's kind of, it's kind of what you get, right? For being physical and pushing the limits that the referee is sort of just he's not really drawing boundaries. So,
I'll stay there. I thought so before the game, the Leeds press was a concern for me. I knew they were going to come out. They were going to be all energy all the time. That is a characteristic of that team, both with Marcelo Bielsa and with what's his name?
Jesse Marsh.
Jesse Marsh. Yeah, the American. So going into the game, that made me nervous. Not just the press, but then also the way they're going to bomb forward on attack, right? So that had me a little nervous. Getting into the game, they were flying into tackles, going extremely hard, and I thought they were. I'm not even going to say borderline dirty because that would be being nice. I thought they were playing dirty. I really did. And I think to Danielle's point, Stuart Dallas was coming in trying to he was trying to leave a mark on Grealish. And he ended up getting himself injured out for a while. And you kind of you reap what you sow, right? I did think the throwing the stuff on the field. I have a note here. I thought that was embarrassing. I'd be interested to see if the Premier League is going to do any type of a punishment, a fine, or anything. Just because, is that really what you want going out on TV across the world to show, to represent your product? I don't know. Maybe they just let it
And,
fly.
and if I believe I looked into it right, that was actually a Leeds marketing thing. It was supposed to be like origami and cute and be like this whole
So
like
you're really
marketing
just
ploy.
saying they're just got a bunch of idiots on their team. We're gonna give people a bunch of paper.
Yeah, but I also think they knew what they were gonna do because in the first, if you watch at the beginning of the match, the first things that people were throwing, it was like airplanes, it was like origami swans, it was stuff, but it just quickly just like mudslid into just how big of a ball of a wad I can make, and let's all just run up to the side and throw it. There were like little kids running up there and throwing it. I was like, what? Come on now. You know there was a parent that was like, here you go, little Johnny.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
throw this piece of paper.
So yeah, I'm just interested to see what, if anything, is said. Because again, I just thought that it looked bad. Uh, Following the game, at the end of the day, big win, back to the top of the table. Goal differential now, we're only down by one because obviously we got four. Liverpool only got one in their game prior to ours. So we are now 4 wins away, I believe, from a 4th title in 5 seasons. And we will do so by holding off what everyone tells me is the best Liverpool team of all time. And for many cases, it appears to be a crowd favorite. So again, it just makes what we are doing all the more impressive. And hopefully we'll shut all the mouths that are out there that have something to say. So all in all, great win. Definitely some nervy moments. But we did what we needed to do. We got rest for those that needed to rest. We kept Gabby Jesus hot. He continued what he was doing, that streak that he's on. Again, very much like the beginning of the season when he was on a very hot streak before he got hurt. Keeps that going. So all in all, very good win. And now we look forward.
So not to belabor the point, but Paul Tierney was literally trash. Like that was so dangerous what he did, and I had hope because remember he started off the game around the 6th minute, giving a yellow card to Junior Firpo, and I was like, okay, he has control of the match. He's not going to take a lot of BS. And as you all said, Dallas was going after Jack the whole time. It's almost like Paul Tierney hates Gucci too. I don't know what the problem was, but like he would not call fouls, and so
Hey,
sadly injuries happen. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like when all that was going on, he gave that early yellow. I think they were Leeds was looking for a foul that he didn't give, and Jesse Marsh and coaching staff were kind of giving the 4th official and everybody giving them. He was reaming them out, giving them a hard time. I wonder if the response from Marsh plus the crowd was going nuts. Everybody, I just feel like he couldn't handle the pressure of the moment, and he let the coaching staff from Leeds get in his ear. And so, okay, I can't blow my whistle again. And so he's just keeps his whistle in his pocket, and to the detriment of the rest of the game.
No, agreed, 100%. And like the Elland Road was loud, it was raucous, it was a real thing that you heard about. You're like, oh, the Leeds is back in the Premier League, and the fans at Elland Road, and it's like, okay, this is real. But we look great. Let's just talk about that set piece early on. Like we thought about the last PL match, it took a while to get that goal. So to have such an early goal in the first 15 minutes, a beautiful assist from Foden, great movement from Rodri. He's been on a tear. It was just like that set. I know I was watching shouts to Man City, Redondo Beach, first time there, and everybody there, like we all took an exhale, like, okay, we're going to be okay. And, just to see Foden continue to step up, his goal involvements are incredible. I wanted to say this on the pod, the consistency or the way we spread out our goal contributions is incredible. So far, Riyad has 32, Kevin has 27, Phil has 24, Gabby has 24, Raheem has 20, Bernardo has 18, Gundo has 15. So that's 7 players with at least 15 goal contributions. That's incredible. Like you literally don't know who to stop. And once again, I will say, I think it's okay that we don't have a number 9, guys. I really do, for this year at least. And, it took until April for our number 9 to actually start playing like his shirt number, which is great. But I really love the way that we came back out in the second half, proceeded to dominate possession, dominate the ball. Ake, that was a beautiful set piece again. Foden put it perfectly. You could tell that was something they worked on the training ground. And now City, I think by far has the most goals from set pieces, as well as giving up the fewest from set pieces this year. So I'm just really impressed that we took care of business as we did.
So I'll bring it up again. Trash fans throw trash. Although to Danielle's point, it did kind of have like that a college football atmosphere to it in a way that was kind of like captivating to watch. I think that it was interesting to see. I thought that Jack played very well, particularly how hard he was being fouled and it was not being called. And I think that he knew that once the half ended and then all of the fans had the origami and then we're going to be throwing it at him, I think he kind of relished that and continued to play well. I think to Danielle's point, I thought that Phil Foden had a terrible first or did not have the greatest first half, no. But I think that he needs that half to adjust to playing back in the midfield. So I would be interested to see what would happen once he gets more minutes there, because once he um, uh, started getting into the rhythm of the game at that position, you saw how well he was playing. I mean, just look at the assist that he had to Jesus for the goal. So I would be interested to see him play more, maybe in the Bernardo spot going forward if he is going to leave the club. But I think overall in this match, the biggest takeaway was that we closed, to Tarek's point, we closed the goal difference, and that's to 1, which is massive. So I think Tarek brought it up in the Real match, and I think that there were a couple of moments here in the matches against Leeds, and I know I brought it up in our group Slack. I think that it's time that we have a joint men's and women's finishing session, because it's as someone who watches both of the clubs, it's very apparent how much more clinical the women are than the men, and it's frustrating to watch because they both create the same amount of chances, but the players who need to give us the final ball, the final result, just are not clinical in front of goal for the men's side.
And I know we'll talk about the women in a little bit, but they have two, I guess, what you would consider classic number 9s, right? In White and Bunny Shaw. So I just, I know what my guy Charlie said earlier. We don't need a number 9, but I just think it'll open up additional opportunities. I hope it doesn't take away, because if it takes away, then I wouldn't want it, right? I don't think it's going to take away from our play. I think it's just going to open up some additional doors that don't exist right now. And quite frankly, if this Gabby Jesus was all day, every day, if he was consistently this player, we're probably not even having this conversation. The reality is he hasn't been. And so I think that's where we're looking for somebody that we can say, I'm going to give you the ball in the box, and more times than not, you're going to get a goal for us. And I don't know that we have that just yet. So we'll see.
I wonder if, to that point, Tarek, I wonder if part of that has to be on Pep, because with most clubs who have a starting 9, your 9 plays just about every time they're healthy. Like they are maybe only rested in early, like FA Cup rounds or whatever, but in most of the games, you're going to see your top goal scorer. Look at Ronaldo in Man U. Like he's only missed, I think, 3 games or been set 2 or 3 games when he's been fit. So it's like you play a lot, you get more opportunities, you get that rhythm. And like he's on a tear now because he's been playing ever since the Liverpool match at the Etihad earlier this month. Gabby's been playing every single week. And I think there's something to be said for that type of fluidity and like consistency in that position. But in other positions, yeah, you might rotate midfield, you might rotate wingers. But if you're going to play a 9, that 9 has to play all the time. And to Tom's point, I was going to add, is goal differential just something that like is going to be a feather in our cap? Because I don't think it's going to come down to like somehow we're tied and the goal differential is going to be the tiebreaker. Do you all think it matters, or is it just like something nice to say, like, hey, we'll be tops in the league?
I think that this is going to go to Crunk's next point about fan mentality. I want the security of having it, um, just in case. Um,
Yeah, I want to take away any potential avenue for them to be on top. I don't think it'll matter because again, just the way it's all set up, it would take, whatever it take, a loss and then the other team having a tie. Um, so I don't think it comes into play, but I just want to take it off the table as a possibility.
The thing with Grealish is the moment he got the ball, Dallas chased him past the halfway line, and he had to like dump it off. And that was very similar to how the Atletico treatment against Madrid that he got. He's used to it at Villa. He's so used to it. And he got chopped down. He was like the most fouled guy along with Zaha for years. And I think him coming to City, he actually has people that he can toss it off to before he gets actually fouled. So this energy that he gets, it's probably nothing, honestly, because he has other teammates to catch some of that heat. Because at Villa, it was only him, and everyone was only shitting on him. It didn't matter who messed up or if defenders had own goals or were sent off. Everyone laughed at Grealish. So I'm sure he's relishing being not the guy. And speaking of not being the guy, maybe Gabby just is a Scottie Pippen, and not everyone can be a Jordan. And I think if he's able to stay and Mahrez leaves, him being the guy who can be complementary to Haaland would be perfect for him because he wouldn't have the pressure to be the one to have to score all of the goals. He can just chip in, have his fun, and do his thing. I just think it would be good for him that way. Keep it moving. Manchester City fans have the propensity for never appreciating the good. Maybe it is from the expectations of failure, but to be honest, a large chunk of City fans have never experienced a bad Manchester City football side. The people of Manchester are sweet, humble humans, but Manchester City Football Club, as a representative of the footballing world, we are the bad guys, 1,000,000%. We spend all the money, air quotes, when the teams who have spent more money. We have the most expensive players, air quotes, when that's not true. The more success City has means the less City will be talked about. Or the conversation will be, when will their luck end? It's never about success or talent, working hard. It's always like luck. It's at the point where Twitter counts. They know all they need to do is slight City in the smallest way and they're going viral, which empowers them and inspires copycat tweets. My question to each of you is, if you have the time to give a baby TED talk to these thin-skinned, easily angered, temperamental losers, they're City fans, but I just hit block, so my patience for them is it's gone. But what are some things that you could maybe talk some sense into them, maybe help them look at things from a more positive mindset so my Twitter feed isn't spammed? Let's start with Charlie.
I'm going to go to that saying I was taught as a child: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, um, but words don't hurt me," or whatever. Because the words are just that. Like, people who are running social media accounts want to get engagement. That's the whole point. You want quote tweets, you want comments, you want people to like it or whatever. Like, they want to get a rise out of you. So it's just like, as a teacher of middle schoolers, this is what I tell kids every day. It's like, you can't let other people control your actions. So if anybody wants to talk, literally all you have to do is point to the table. We've been number one at the table all year. Like, just accept greatness. Like, accept the fact that you're the best. Embrace that and enjoy it. Like, I love the fact that everybody's coming for us because, as I say in other podcasts, the rest of y'all are bums. And like Liverpool, you're 1 point less of a bum, but you're still a bum. So don't worry about it.
Not the silver medal bums. Wow. That might have to be the name of the episode.
they're going to be the greatest silver medalists ever. Like, it's going to be a cute League Cup. They might get a little FA. Oh, we had a domestic double. You didn't get the one that mattered. You're not going to beat us in Champions League. So, congrats on your silver medal. You won. Good job.
I would say to these City fans that, just like my nana used to say, ain't everybody gotta like you. And to be honest, we're probably like the hate that we get is because of the success that we have. So that is what that is. And then they're only talking about you because they want to be you. So yeah, embrace that and just know that not everybody's gonna like you, and that's okay.
For me, I think it's just don't interact with other fans of other teams online. It's like it's as simple as that. Like I've been trying to mute some of the very obviously like grifters, like troll accounts, kind of like what Charlie was talking about. For me, it's been great actually being chatting with you guys more because I actually have it's not just that we're fans of like the same team, but we're in it because we're sort of like in the sphere because we just enjoy the game. Like we just enjoy watching it, and then it's all positive vibes. There's no negativity, and that's not to say that that I can't be friends or with fans of other teams or I can't talk to them. But for me, it's like it's an instant muter block if there's just like any sort of negativity because I just don't need that. I'm angry enough, right? And just like being in America, right, and dealing with like whatever like shit is kind of present in this country. And this is sort of like football's meant to be my escape. So I guess I'm just trying to keep it clean, keep it above water.
Yeah, I don't care. At the end of the day, whatever, man. Say what you got to say. But to Charlie's point, just look up at the scoreboard. Look at the table. Whatever you want to look at. At the end of the day, we're winning. You're losing. Oh well. End of story.
Uh, oh, I love it. I love it. That's City's success. Like, we really need to just accept we're the bad guys. Obviously, from our view, we're not the bad guys. We're just here trying to play some football. There's just some dudes playing football wearing sky blue. That's all. That's all it is. And
Do you remember? I think all of us are pretty much fans of American sports as well. I want to say it was the Miami Heat when LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh and all those guys were there.
yeah,
They were kind of getting that hate as well, and so LeBron tried to play into the villain role, and it just didn't really fit him. I don't think he could be a good villain. He needed or needs people to like him. He needs to be, oh yay, LeBron, blah blah blah. So you gotta have a certain mentality. Jack Grealish is that
yeah,
dude. He ain't worried about you. So when the fans in Leeds were throwing paper, he was laughing. He was eating it up. He picked it up, kind of headed it towards the field. He was loving it. Bring it on. Bring it on. It just makes me play better. Come on, bring it. That's the mentality you need to be able to be like, oh well, you hate me. Oh well, let's go. I'm just gonna beat you more. And then it makes it even better because now I can laugh in your face because you're doing all this to try to get a rile out of me, and I just keep giving it to you over and over and over. Jack Grealish is that dude.
and like I was saying, I'm at the point where I block motherfuckers for anything. Are you tweeting the same tweet as five others in the hopes of going viral? Blocked. Are you finding a way to make this about Chelsea or Liverpool? Blocked. I'm at the point where I'm blocking more City accounts than rival accounts because rival accounts, they should be annoying. That's their job. I am done trying to understand their stupidity or fear that City are somehow going to get relegated and Sheikh Mansour will sell the club. The greatness of City is going nowhere. The talent of the team will only grow, and the success will feel less like a phantom limb, maybe. Success means having a short memory. I've said it many times. All City lost to Chelsea in the CL final jokes are, in all iterations, they're lame. I will believe you are in like asthmatic goofball whose skin looks like you haven't seen the sun in weeks. Typing away with arthritic wrists. Do better. I want you to do better. I want you to want yourself to do better. And if you just don't want to, I'll block you. But Thom Bomb, how are you, friend? A week has passed. What have the Man City Women's Football Club been up to?
So, I would love to tell you all about Man City women, particularly winning 7-2 against Brighton yesterday. Bunny Shaw scoring 4 goals, meaning that Man City has won their last 11 and 19 out of 21. And based on how disastrous the season started with injuries and players out of position, this should be cause for celebration, right? We should all be excited. We're going to, you know, we got one cup, the chance to win another domestic cup, finish in European place. That just should be a successful season, right? But we need to examine if the process is correct. And that starts at the top. And there's been whispers about Gareth Taylor, if Gareth Taylor's the right individual for the City women's manager for a while. I know that all of women's football was kind of confused about how Rose Lavelle couldn't even break into the bench, much less the starting of 11 of his side, and why that was, especially after she's coming off the bronze ball in the World Cup. The explanation given was that the player did not meet the standard of the club. And while that may be true, great coaches are always able to coax brilliance out of their most talented players. And you cannot tell me that Rose Lavelle was not one of the most talented players that he has coached. Could the manager have a pro Lionesses bias, even as a excuse me, even as a Welshman? Um, and yes, everything that I just talked about is in the past. But let's talk about right now. Let's talk about the present. So Tarek mentioned it. We've got 2 number 9s. Let's go down the number 9 stat line, and this is prior to yesterday. One of the number 9s started 13 matches, appeared in 19. That player has scored 3 goals and assisted on 4, meaning that per 90 minutes, that player is involved in about a half a goal. For comparison, the other player has 7 starts and 15 appearances. That player has 4 goals and 2 assists, meaning per 90 minutes that they're involved in 0.95 goals per 90 per game. So almost a goal per game. It's Ellen White and Bunny Shaw are the two. Now, Bunny Shaw is apparently the backup. And if you look at the stats based off of Bunny's 4-game explosion or 4-goal explosion earlier, it's even worse. So there's not any reason that anyone not named Khadija Monifa Bunny Shaw is not getting the lioness share of the minutes at that position. And speaking of mismanagement, let's also talk about how to not handle rumors of a player possibly leaving. So I'm not sure if everyone is aware of this, but last week Spanish media reported that a move to Real Madrid for Carolyn Weir was 99% certain. Reporting from the Telegraph's Tom Gary, who is kind of in his Fabricio lane in women's football, excuse me, stated that there is interest in Real by the player. However, the player is also possibly interested in staying. And so, when asked about Caroline's future at the club, Gareth Taylor responded with, "Quote: Obviously, there's going to be rumors in the summer. We make offers to our players. Sometimes they'll have other agendas, but we want players who want to be here and want to see the vision we've got for the future." End quote. This player has helped win the club 4 domestic cups and helped finish top 2 for the past 3 consecutive years. What would be in the agenda for her not to stay if not for you, Gareth? Um, I love watching City women's football because I do think that some of the things that Gareth does are very, very interesting, and I think that you can see that crossover also with some of the things that Pep does as well. But if you're not able to appropriately manage the players signed to the club, then you don't need to be at the club. So either you need to talk to Pep and figure out how to do this the right way, or you need to leave. because let's not forget that most of this Man City's women's success has come under Nick Cushing, not under Gareth Taylor. And Nick Cushing left for an NYCFC position under City Football Group. So I, I know that I probably am going to ruffle a lot of feathers with people at the club, but I'm ready for Gareth to leave, and I'm ready for another manager to come in and manage. And I am done with my rant.
It's crazy too because if you watch the way that City play, they have their pacey wingers, and who else better to be there than Bunny? And she's taller than most, stronger than most. They can just toss the ball up. I mean, she scored from a monster header in the last match. I believe that was one of the goals that she scored, was just like this badass header off of a set piece. She can score however many ways. She doesn't even need the ball to score, like at her feet. And once those stats that you were reading started circulating, it really how the media hasn't asked him anything. It's confusing, and I don't really know if it's just like negligence in the media, or they just don't care, or maybe they're just friends with him and they don't want to like stir up trouble. It is very annoying.
So Tom, I had a quick question for you. With you saying on record that you think it's time for Gareth to leave, do you believe the gap between the City women and the Chelsea women has more to do with the managers, so Emma Hayes versus Gareth Taylor, or do you think the talent of Chelsea is so much better because they're like us, they're like the men, they're like the Man City men, right? They are the dominant force in Women's Super League, and so like, what do you think is more important in catching up and trying to win that title?
I think that it's a combination of both, but if I were to assign like a percentage, I would definitely say it's probably 65% Gareth Taylor and then 35% um, player talent. Like, it's not to say that City doesn't have talent, but I guess that's what's so frustrating. Like, based off of Bunny's stat line, she has that potential to have like potentially a Marie Antoinette Katoto type season, and you're benching her for someone who's quote unquote more experienced, but is not giving you the numbers that you need. Um, so it's not to say that you know Bunny Shaw can't be Pernell Harder or can't be Sam Kerr, but she's not been giving the opportunity, which is even more criminal to me.
And I'm gonna stir the pot a lot right now and just wonder, does it have something to do with her being a black woman? Like,
I
are they ready to have a starting number 9 that is a black woman over your beloved lioness Ellen White?
I
I don't know.
I've wondered a lot about that because like that 9-10 position is a lot like the quarterback in football. We've or in American football, I think we've basically over the last 30 years seen like people evolve about allowing black men to play the position. It's interesting because um, Fox Sports just did a thing about like they did a tweet where they showed Giannis like they kicked a ball to or passed the ball to him and he kicked it up with his feet and then he shot a 3-pointer and it was like, oh, what position would Giannis play? And I made the joke. It was like, well, they would put him at defender because that's what they do to us. Like, like Crystal Dunn. So I I I do wonder if there's that racial element to it. I know that a lot of the women that I follow that are big excuse me, what women's soccer fans, they have definitely brought that possibility to the forefront, which is sad, that we have to talk about that in 2022. But at the same time, like there are certain like um, positions that we have assigned to certain individuals that do not have a lot of melanin and or that have a lot of melanin in their skin. So yeah, that's an excellent point that I would have never even thought, but I'm glad that you brought it up.
The sad thing is we have to think about it, right? It's something that you can't get away from. Let me tell you this because I'm looking at it right here. For the women's Super League, if I look at goals plus assists per 90, the top is Sam Kerr for Chelsea at 1.43 goals plus assists per 90. Second on that list, Bunny Shaw, 1.4. So it's a 0.03 difference between Bunny Shaw and Sam Kerr, who is leading the league in scoring. So what that says to me is that if you play her, your results will come. If you play her, you're going to get goals. You play her, you're going to get the assist that you need. Now, no knock to Ellen White, but for sake of comparison, I think she's 18th on this list at 0.53. So it's not quite triple, but it's well above double the output. That speaks for itself. I can't say what's in Gareth Taylor's head. I can't say that it's because she's a black woman. But what I can tell you is the numbers say she should be playing.
I mean, on the men's side, Gabby scored 4 goals and he forced himself into the starting lineup. And I remember saying distinctly in the last episode that he had earned the right to be the first attacker off the bench. Well, Pep apparently believes that he's so informed that he deserved the right to start. So you would hope that that extends over to the other side, and Gareth Taylor realizes, oh, we have 2 matches in the Super League left in the excuse me, in the FA Cup. Bunny should start at least 2 of those 3, and I don't see why that's shouldn't be the case.
Question with obviously the Women's Super League, the big deal is it gives you the opportunity to play in the Champions League, whereas coming to the States, you wouldn't get that opportunity. Is that the only thing that keeps her from coming to play in the States? There's no way, like these new teams, the Angel Cities and all these other, to me, every team in NWSL would fall over themselves to get her. I just don't understand.
Oh, for sure. I think that the appeal of Europe, like that, I think that already appeals to her. I can only imagine, like, if her only soccer experience in this country was an NCAA or even worse, a junior college experience, um, particularly as a woman athlete, I could see why she would want to not necessarily come back. Not that's not to say that, NWSL sides have not like improved leaps and bounds in far as what their training facilities are, but I could see the hesitation of why she wouldn't necessarily want to come back. Um, and I think also, I think playing for Jamaica is very important for her. And I always forget this. She actually plays the 10 for Jamaica, which is why she's such a skilled passer as well. Um, I think it's important for her to get that sort of competition that Women's Champions League can provide for country as well.
One last thing that I'll say, and again, this isn't a knock Ellen White session because that's not the point. Ellen White is 32 years old. Khadijah Bunny Shaw is 24. So I don't understand why, again, if it were just the age or whatever, that's one thing. But it's the age differential plus the output is so much better per 90. I don't understand why they're not giving her the chance other than, oh, we want to give Ellen White an opportunity for the next World Cup, which is what, 2 years away? Or
2023,
whatever it
yes.
might be. There's other things besides, hey, what am I seeing on the field? Because if what I'm seeing on the field is the only thing that matters, to me, it just says she needs to be playing. But again, not to knock Ellen White, is just to say we have this talent that if we don't play and if we don't let her thrive, you're going to look up one day and she's going to be wanting to go someplace else.
I think The only possible grace I could probably extend to Gareth Taylor is that because of all of the injuries, you do want to have some a semblance of squad continuity, but really those injuries have all really taken care of themselves really by February, which is when we started making this run. So there's no reason there's no reason that she should not have had the majority of the starts at the striker position. So I will end on this note. Caroline Weir can do whatever she wants. I'm all about player empowerment. However, I personally, maybe it's just because I'm not a professional athlete, I couldn't imagine wanting to go somewhere where I'm going to probably have to face Barca Femini probably 5 matches in a season. And they just lost their first match of the season, but still advanced into the Champions League final this weekend. So that's basically what she's signing up to play 5 to 6 matches against if she decides to go. So uh, that's that wouldn't be something I would sign up for. But again, I'm not a professional athlete.
I have no problem complaining and ranting, so I know how tough that can be, especially because you're putting yourself out there, and with the podcast, you're allowing people to be like, "Boo, you suck." But also, that's the brilliant thing about having podcasts, because you can just be like, "Hey, we need to get this motherfucker out of here." So, good on you for using your platform.
No, thank you. That's all.
Second leg of the Champions League semifinal at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, Manchester City at Real Madrid. City have a goal lead in aggregate, no away goal rule. Real beat Espanyol 4-0 to clinch the 35th La Liga title. Looking at the stats for that match, one stat stuck out. Real had 5 shots on goal, but Espanyol had 6 shots on goal. Real are clinical. If you give them their chances, you will pay. Can City, with Cancelo back and arrested KDB, play the methodical, possession-based football City are known for? Or will City get sucked into playing open football again? How do you say, como se dice, juego del baloncesto? What are you thinking, Thom Bomb? Score predictions also.
I need an interpreter. What did you say?
I just I just said, how do you say the game of basketball? Because the game
Okay.
is it's open. Yeah.
You could have just said that.
Hey, flair for theatrics. That's what makes a good podcast.
That's right. That's right. I'm interested into seeing how up for the match Real Madrid are. I think that we all saw those celebrations that they had. I mean, Rafa Nadal was there. They had some other folks there. Um, I think that might have taken a lot out of them initially, and the, I think that this is another match in which City will need to start fast because there's a good possibility that Real Madrid will be flat for the first 15-20 minutes. And so if we can make sure that we have a 1 to 2 goal lead in that time and that we're um, finishing our chances that we are inevitably going to get, um, we're going to be in Paris for the Champions League final.
And I think I was looking at the lineups from the match last week, and we're probably going to have about 5 or 6 players that come back and they're going to be in that lineup that didn't play against Leeds. So being fresh is important too in the midfield. You got Cancelo that'll play at the right for Stones. I think Zinchenko. I mean, I guess if you go back to Ake like he did in the first match, Ake was totally fine and played really well actually. But then I think the biggest thing might be Jesus on the right and Mahrez coming off the bench. Because if we're going to get those chances on the counter, you need that natural right foot on the right wing. And so then I think Sterling could slide in and play that 9 role and add even more pace up front. Because we know that Real Madrid they have to score. So if they're going to come at us and we can break and Kevin can start charging at the defense at that back line, I really see us squeaking out a win. I'm going to say we win 2-1 and move on back to the CL final.
I was going to say 2-1. I'll stick with that. Definitely. I think we win for sure. 2-1. and we move on.
I think we're gonna win too. Um, yeah, I was gonna say 2-1. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3-2 this time because you just never know. Like again, somebody said here that Casemiro's not gonna do anything for them, um, and I agree. I don't think that you could throw anybody in there, right? And it's not going to fix all the problems that Madrid have defensively, especially against us. That's why I think that like it was. I would say that there were periods where the Leeds match felt more open than the Madrid match. Just because, like, especially early in the first half of the Leeds match, because I feel like we had a lot of control against Madrid, but they were just again those select moments. And I think the game just like was a lot less even than the stats would show. The Champions League match was less even, so I'm going to say 3-2. I think it will end up being like a little bit open, just because like Benzema can just create something out of nothing, and Modric is still world class. Um, but yeah, I think we're going to be good. I think Cancelo is going to have a huge match. Um, I'm a little bit disappointed that Stones seems like he's not going to be able to go, because I do think that this season Cancelo is a lot better on the left than he is on the right, especially defensively. Um, but we've seen him be amazing, pretty much like Pirlo like coming in on the right side. So hopefully we get that version of him on Wednesday.
And since y'all are being the logical, beautiful minds that I appreciate you being and need to be, I'm going to be outlandish. I'm saying 6-1 City. We just like make them cry. Like I said it, I need crying Spaniards in slow motion. That is, a man can dream. And that is what I'm dreaming about right now. So,
Crunk, do you want to bring that down to 3-1, or are you really going to think 6-1?
fine. I'll move down 5-1. That's as far as I'm moving. 5-1 City. We're just beating them down. Casemiro, he's gonna help, but I think he's gonna come in and try to force the situation, and he'll just pick up an early yellow, and then they're just gonna have to play back and hope for the best. And I think City's gonna clean up uh, the messiness, not get sucked into the game. I'm just holding on to that in my brain. Because I mentally cannot handle another just like back and forth game like that again. So it's just City will play their game, take their time. It wouldn't surprise me if we score maybe once in the first half, but then in the second half, that's when it just is goal, 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 goal. But no, you talk me down. 5-1, City move on, fear in everyone's hearts, and we'll be in Paris. Newcastle, they have a sluggish chance. They lost against Liverpool 1-0. Eddie Howe had them playing surprisingly well. They're in 10th place, but Leicester, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, and Brentford have games in hand above them. They have no real reasons to worry about relegation and no hope to make it to any of the many European competitions. Newcastle need to figure out who to keep and who needs to go ASAP. Shout out to John Joe Selvey and Alan St. Maximin. Do you expect Newcastle to come out in the mood to kill a Goliath? Does Newcastle piss themselves the moment they see the Etihad in the skyline? What are your expectations for this match? Danielle, you first.
Newcastle are safe. They don't really have much to play for. Yeah, I think that it's just going to be a standard. I'm going to say 2-0, but we'll create enough chances for it to have been like 5 or 6-0, but finishing is what it is.
Newcastle had actually been in really good form recently. They had won out of their last 5 games, 5 matches. They have won 4 of them. The only loss being to Liverpool. I was actually hopeful that they would find a way to squeak out a draw against Liverpool. To be in way of comparison, our last 5 we have won 4 as well. So we're both 4-1 out of our last 5 games. You can say a lot with stats. You can make them say whatever you want. In this case, I don't think that Newcastle's going to give us a real battle per se. But I think you said it. There's that puncher's chance. Um, they have some decent pieces. They got their new. I don't know if he's. I don't know what position he plays for them. The Bruno something or other. I think he's a Brazilian that's playing for them, who's done pretty well recently. Um, but all in all, I think we win. I think we win fairly easily. But it would not surprise me if we don't get our goal till relatively late.
I say we win. I say I know I say this all the time, but I'm gonna say it again with more confidence. We're gonna see more kids play in this match. Um, Hat trick for James McAtee, clearly. Um, Egan Riley starts at fullback. No, I'm just playing. Um, but I would like to see in that match. I do think that we are going to win. I do think, to Danielle's point, it's going to be one of those situations where we have a lot of chances, but we only score 2 goals. I think Charlie made the point that the roster turnover from our excuse me, our previous Premier League match to Real was like 5 players, so that they are, excuse me, from Real to uh, Leeds was like 5 players, so we have 5 players worth of rest. I think that you're going to see those same 5 players who were this weekend. They'll be rested that weekend as well. Um, but I do think it's going to just be a 2-0 victory.
So I wanted to read you all some names, see if you know who these people are. Matt Target, Dan Byrne, Fabian Schär, Emil Kraft. That right there is the back line of Newcastle. They put no fear in my heart, so I know they don't put any fear in our heart, in Pep's heart. We're going to win that game at least 3-0, maybe 4 or 5, because they literally, at home, they won't be able to stop us. Coming off of the high of advancing to Champions League. And here's the thing I'm going to predict just for the podcast. Tottenham play Liverpool on Saturday. I think Tottenham's going to come away with at least a point. So once we play on Sunday at 8:30 Pacific time here in America, we're going to be playing to go at 4, and we're not letting that go. So I see us being, after we play, being up 4 points with 3 to go, and even closer to the title.
What was it? Jamal Lascelles? They had a big center back. Is he not playing for them now? Or
He's on
hurt?
the bench. No, he's fit. He's let me see. He got in as a sub for Fabian Schär last game, so he might start this game. But he's been historically, they just haven't done anything against us. Like he score at will. Yeah,
he's a big dude, so he's kind of kind of intimidating. Kind of gives you that company vibe a little bit, but if he's not playing for him, I always we haven't given up a lot of set pieces, but I get nervous every time we give up a set piece, even though I know we haven't given up a lot of goals from them. A big burly center back coming up, just like pushing us around, getting on the end of a header. Those are the things that kind of make me nervous. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, this game will not be something that trips us up.
And if I believe right, Matt Target was a recent acquisition for them to shore up their spotty defense. And yeah, I don't think they can do it. They're safe. They're going to be playing at the Etihad. It's a lot of pressure. They're going to have to put up with a lot. I think Eddie Howe is probably even going in that match just telling them to do their best. Like, I just don't. I don't. It's going to be bad. I'll just say 3-0. I don't want to like go out the window with 2 matches. So let's just say this one is an easy 3-0 win, but it's going to be comfortable the whole time. There might be some sketchy moments because there always is. And I assume Laporte's going to play, and he does, like to make our hair stand up every now and then. And, it just makes me feel alive. I love it. I love it. I love it. Man City, they announced their first friendly match coming to the U.S. They're playing Thom Bomb. You called it. It wasn't the right team, but Now I'm just being picky, but you called it basically. They're playing Club Americas in Houston, July 20th, and that is my birthday. Like the city gods just rained love down on me, and thank you. Shout outs to the Noisy Pod. The second I saw on Twitter people were talking about they got their tickets, I was like, wait, tickets don't go on sale till tomorrow. What is going on? And so I just shot the Noisy Pod, hey, what is the pre-sale? Sent it to me. I bought my tickets. I'm going to be in 322 with all the other city pods and city media. It's going to be super exciting. I'm going to represent you guys loudly and proudly. I think I'm going to be there for like 3 days, so I'm going to see how much city content I can get for our YouTubes and stuff like that. Hopefully, one of y'all can get to the other match, and they need to announce that sooner than later because all this like guessing and assuming is getting very stressful.
They said they're going to announce it this week. So I don't remember what day they announced the game in Houston, if it was like on a Monday or what day it was. But I imagine whatever day that was, that same day this week, we'll probably hear. Is anybody else going to Houston or no?
Yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't make it since it's in the middle of the week.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the week. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely, I've already told the wife that if they happen to, well, I told her I was going to one of the games regardless. I'm still holding out to see if they're going to end up in Green Bay, which would be closer for me being in the Midwest. But I've already told the wife that this is where I'm going. I've invited them to come along, but if they don't, wife and the kids, I will be there regardless.
Listeners, I don't know if you guys know, we cover the whole US here. We are in 4 different time zones, so playing this podcast is always a good time. Specifically, Thom Bomb, for you to wake up and watch the women's matches. I can't say thank you enough. Like, what time were you up to watch the last City women's match?
So kickoff was at 4:30 Mountain Daylight Time. Definitely. Was up at 4:15. Um, that is so early that Starbucks is not even open. I'll just let the world know that. So I luckily I had my own coffee that I had to ingest to make it through.
Yeah. So it does take a lot to make a podcast work. Sometimes you gotta let people know the BTS so you guys can appreciate greatness when it's in your face. Also, thank you, speaking of greatness, to the listeners. Watching the numbers grow this last episode, it's been fantastic. That means people are enjoying it. That means chances are they're spreading the word. So if you can keep on doing that, and if you could follow each of us, I'm going to go through the list and they will tell you where to follow them and on which site. Start whoever. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm on Twitter, kind of blue with 3 underscores.
Charlie here on Twitter at CWMSIV.
You can find me on Twitter, Thom Bomb 816. That's THOM.
Tarek Peterson on Twitter. TARIKPETERSON. Tarek Peterson.
And I am Crunk Chocolate, CRUNKCHOCOLATE. Share, tag us, use the hashtag Shady Gang. You know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.
Can you give the podcast Twitter one more time?
At Shades of Blue Pod. At Shades of Blue Pod.